Good evening. This evening we're going to do a winding down stretching type movements. I'm actually staying at an Airbnb in North Carolina. It's a very beautiful Airbnb. It's got some nice dragonfly type accents. And you probably can't hear it in the video because I'm using a microphone that only captures this sound, but there's a lot of insects outside making noises. So it's very nice. I just drove from Atlanta to North Carolina. And so this is a good time to just take some breaths and release. So we'll spend about 20 minutes doing that and move into some meditation as well. First, we can find ourselves maybe in a seated posture or a kneeling posture like this. For me, it's easier to get my pelvic, my hips neutral and my pelvic bones, because when I'm seated cross-legged, I might need some support under me in order to sit up higher. From here, let's focus on the posture and the breath. Elongating through the top of the head and reaching along the length of the neck, the back, and the lower back. If it's easier or better to sit on a cushion or in the cross-legged or lotus, whatever your preference. Here I'm trying to keep kind of a neutral back. It's got a natural curvature. You can kind of feel that core kind of bracing in a little bit instead of kind of flaring out. Shoulders relaxed down and away from the ears, not pressing away from the ears, but just relaxed. Excuse me. And now we can focus on the breath, feeling that relaxation into the chest and following a natural breathing pattern. From here also, allowing the jaw to relax and extending through the top of the head, reaching up, tucking the chin slightly. From the seated posture, we'll move through a few rounds of stretching, or basically movements, and releasing breathing. Feeling that core braced a little bit, and we'll raise one arm over towards the other side, keeping the elbow kind of in line with the ear, and seeing where we are. Taking a breath and releasing as we're reaching towards the other side, maintaining that braced core. For a few breaths there, and we'll move to the other side. And releasing down, we'll go back to the other side again. Perhaps bringing some movement into the wrists, seeing what the difference, I don't know if this is exactly nerve flossing, but just feeling the sensation along the arms. As we're moving, releasing and reaching through the arms and wrists, fingertips. Breathing, and then perhaps giving the wrist a little bit of a roll, feeling everything as we're moving back. Whatever your preference, if you want to lean over and move some more, or if you have that flexibility, I'm preferring to stay right here in this neutral posture and just noticing the sensation. My lats might be tight, my traps, Where are we today? Now let's move through some cat-cow poses. And this will bring some movement into the shoulders as well as the spine. Inhaling and opening up into the cat posture, pressing the shoulders down and away gently, taking a breath, exhaling, and then rounding, arching the back, pushing away from the ground. Inhaling and allowing the chest to open again. Then exhaling, rounding, doing a few more times. Noticing the fingers with palms spread apart. Perhaps getting a little bit of stretch along the neck, back of the neck, even reaching back, opening up the chest. Whichever movements feel like they're releasing for you. Perhaps turning your head from side to side once you're in a stopped posture. And then we'll press back into child's pose and work on a downward facing dog. Stretching the arms forward first into this child's pose. Noticing where the arms are, the shoulder rotator cuff area. Is it, stuck there? Is there mobility along the upper back? Allowing the forehead to rest into the ground. Looking up towards the hand, and let's press back into downward facing dog. First, pedaling the feet. We're just moving right back into it. I've been driving for about 4 hours, and I have not been doing yoga every day recently. For sure. In fact, like many people, I find myself in the flexed seated position often. Even if I'm standing and moving, my shoulders are still rounded forward a lot of the time because of what I'm doing. So trying to keep aware of that and incorporating the yoga movements does help. We can gently pedal the feet or move back down into child's pose and then return to the downward facing dog as many times as we'd like. For tonight, I'm just feeling the sensation along the back of the legs and stretching that calves and Achilles tendon along the soles of the feet. Noticing any restriction. Going back and forth between downward facing dog and child's pose. Or you can remain at rest and seated if you'd like. I'll do one more. A little bit of unwinding there. And then finding ourselves back into the seated. Now we'll just do a little bit of a sort of a quad stretch and hamstring calf stretch. This may not be the most effective quad stretch, but it's pretty easy to get started with. Placing one foot ahead and allowing the length of the back thigh to stretch as we're pressing our hips forward gently and breathing. Feeling any sensation of release. Let's take a few breaths here. There are some more athletic and specific ways to stretch the quads, apparently. But this is just something that's maybe work a little bit on hip flexors, work a little bit on breathing, noticing sensation. Of course, taking care to not put too much pressure on the knee. Whatever feels the right amount of pressure. You can also place your hand. Certainly you could take the knee ahead of the ankle here and just focusing on this area, stretching. Now, we'll actually work on the front leg, extending it forward with the heel on the ground, having some support, and then just stretching along the length of that leg. Taking a few breaths, we can even move our chest towards facing forward. Anywhere along the length of the stretch, you might notice different sensations, whether it's the hamstrings or the calves or even the feet, all the way up into the toes. So that's why I'm rounding my back so much here, because I'm noticing sensation where I'd like to feel it right now. I guess the proper way to do this would be to be like this, and maybe have some kind of prop. But I'm just going to go and feel what I feel here. Moving towards having an extended back. That's the idea, instead of just letting it round. We'll return back into that kneeling seated pose and work on the other side. Stepping the other foot forward and then stretching along the length of that other thigh. Taking a few breaths here. Insects are getting very loud now, but I'm not sure if it's coming through on the microphone. Again, pressing the hip forward, maybe arching, kind of opening the chest here a bit. Because I'm not putting too much pressure on the knee, I'm just kind of probably not focusing as much as I need to on bracing the core, but I'm just really focusing in on that thigh there. And then let's extend the front leg again. And then have a bit of a stretching sensation along that leg as well. You can use your hand to support you here or use a prop, any kind of prop that won't shift around. such as a yoga block, for example. Got dark out there. Still some light.